Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm your host, the Fellow KGB. You can follow me on Twitter at the Fellow KGB, and we are joined by Jesse Meineke. We're going to be going over your favorite player prop bets, looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook. You can follow Jesse on Twitter at the Fellow JGM. Good morning, man. What's going on?
Good morning. Happy Saturday. Still full from Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's been a weird, sluggish last couple of days, but I'm finally feeling got a little bit of energy today. It felt like Sunday morning when I woke up, so I was a little thrown off. I'm like,
for sure.
News and injuries and stuff like that. But nothing really happening today. There might be a few guys activated or a few notes that come out today is based on if they're going to play or not, or guys activated from COVID list. So we'll be watching for that. But I think for this week's episode, they don't have a full slate of games uploaded to DraftKings yet. So we're going to try to do our best and cover what we can. And then maybe we'll build a lineup on DraftKings at the end. Maybe we'll just think of like a tournament-based lineup and we'll go from there. But for now, we are going to hop into a screen share on the fantasyfellowship.com. And I just want to review with you guys how we did last week in our props. We put a lot of props on the website. Kind of disappointed they didn't put a Zeke Elliott passing or rushing and receiving prop over. But we did okay here. We had Baker Mayfield under, Antonio Gibson over, Dalvin Cook over, and then we missed on Willie Snead. I think everybody was high on Willie Snead. Juju Smith-Schuster, he hurt his toe. So this could have been a game that, everybody ate besides Juju. So it's a little bit of a disappointment there. And then DJ Chark just missed it by maybe one catch or so. And then because, on the website, we did note that we liked Ezekiel Elliott's over on 14.5 receiving yards. He did hit the 59.5 rushing yards, but because I had this on the website, I'm going to take a L there for us. And then we hit on both of our touchdown props. Taysom Hill scored, and so did Ezekiel Elliott. So on the week, not terrible. 5 out of 9 moves us to 35 and 60 on the season. As you can see, though, we're getting hot on our touchdown props, 4 to 6 so far. So we will we'll do our best, and we'll get to those touchdown props probably towards the end. I think we like to start with the receiving games here. So let me just hit refresh on this real quick before we dive into it. Let me look at everything we need to see here. Everything's looking good. So we're going to start with the Chargers and the Buffalo Bills. This might be one of my favorite games I think this is a noon game. It's in Buffalo. What can we expect out of Justin Herbert traveling to the East Coast for a noon game?
This is a good one. The Chargers are a young team, but they're a team that they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year, but they have playoff potential on any given week if they show up. And the Buffalo Bills are one of those teams that, you can't count them out of the AFC. They're probably not that top tier, but they're just under it. Bills coming off one of these teams is coming off a bye, or
Buffalo's coming off a bye.
Yeah, Buffalo's coming off a bye.
Austin
Eckler, he might be back. It's looking like he's trending the right way, right?
And I think Kalen Ballage is probably trending the wrong way. So we might end up seeing a more than a normal workload for a guy returning from a serious injury like that. So I'm really open to Austin Eckler and like RB2 lineups for redraft, dynasty leagues, whatever you got to do. But just looking at some of these over-unders here for the receiving yards, you got Devin Singletary, 13.5. Keenan Allen, 77.5. That seems really optimistic. Mike Williams at 42.5. Cole Beasley, 61. And Stephon Diggs is at 84.5. He's going to be one of the hot plays of the week. Anything stick out here first glance?
We both talked about how we like Diggs before we looked at the props. And, you can tell DK is juicing that one up. But I think Diggs is still a good play at 84.5. This game we should see some points. Diggs is just a favorite target of Josh Allen. I'd be curious. Can we go and look and see what's Diggs? How many times has he been hitting that number?
So I did see on the Chargers side, they're going to have no Casey Hayward, no Melvin Ingram.
That's pretty big.
So they're losing their best. I think, is Bosa still playing? Is Bosa okay?
Yeah, Bosa's okay.
So they still have Bosa, but they lose, one of the best pass rushers in the game, and then they're going to lose Casey Hayward, a really solid lockdown corner.
Right.
So the number is 84.5.
Mm-hmm.
He's been over that 3 straight games.
In Arizona, that's a Patrick Peterson matchup, right? So
and then this New England game would have been Stephon Gilmore, right?
I think Gilmore might have been out. He might have been out. Game? Yeah.
Okay, so that at least the last 2 games we see some really good numbers here And then before that, I mean, he hit 106, 115, 153, and 86. So there's only been 3 games where he's been, I guess, under 50 yards. So do we think this is going to be a potential game where he doesn't hit it? I don't know. That feels really good. No Casey Hayward.
Yeah, no Casey Hayward. I mean, 84.5 might be high enough where you're like, okay. But it's one of those things where, like, even if the line was at 70 and we look at those stats again, he still would have hit it the same amount of time. So it's like 70 to 85. I mean, it's like, look at the targets. It's all about the targets. If he's hitting that over 10 yards per target, he's getting there. I mean, the 3 games that he didn't, that one was a weird 6-target game. He hasn't been under 8 targets outside of that one game. So he's getting fed the ball.
What I'm going to pull up here is, let's see what the Chargers have been allowing. 2 wide receivers. We'll look at some of the best receivers. So week 1, A.J. Green led the team with 51 yards. It looks like week 2, Tyreek Hill had 99 yards. Week 3, Robbie Anderson, 55, Curtis, 45, and DJ Moore, 65. So all guys kind of ate. They didn't really have one big boom game.
Right.
Mike Evans went for 122. Emmanuel Sanders went for 122.
Scotty Miller with the 83. That's interesting.
Yeah. You got Deshaun Hamilton down here with 82. Jerry Jeudy, 73. No one's really been close, I guess, lately. Denzel Mims had 71. But from a PPR standpoint, they've been allowing a lot of points here, double-digit points to receivers. So I am interested in Stephon Diggs here, but I think Keenan Allen might be the guy here because you would expect Tre'Davious White to line up almost exclusively with Mike Williams. And Keenan Allen, I mean, the dude, got 19, 20 targets last week or something?
Yeah, he was getting fed.
So let's pull up, let's see what Keenan's been.
They got Cole Beasley up at 61.5.
I think there's beginning to be a trend with Cole Beasley that he is going to be, and no John Brown in this one. There's kind of a trend with Cole Beasley where he's kind of like the struggle target for Josh Allen. But I guess if you're looking at Keenan Allen here, 145 yards last week, only 39 against Miami, 103, 67, 123. So he's on a weird every other week kind of streak here. So maybe, I don't know. What did we do here with Keenan Allen?
Oh, he's vicious. Yeah, Keenan Allen, it's the problem is, I mean, they got these lines high enough where you're kind of, as fans of the overs, you're just like, man, that's a lofty target. But
so we're just looking now at the Buffalo Bills and seeing I'm curious what type of receiver they've allowed to have good games. So already off the bat, you see Jamison Crowder, 115 yards. We're going to keep going down. Isaiah Ford really close with 76, and Isaiah Ford, same thing as Jamison Crowder. Cooper Kupp, okay, we have a trend. Little slot receivers here getting big points. 107 yards for Cooper Kupp. Robert Woods at 74. Looks like A.J. Brown was a beast against them, 82 and a touchdown. Otherwise, you got DK Metcalf went off for 108 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 127. So they do allow receivers to, kind of hit their marks here. I'm seeing a lot of, at the top of the year, you see Crowder. They did say Isaiah Ford, Cooper Kupp. So you're seeing a lot of these smaller receivers, which might favor a Keenan Allen here. And I guess if I kind of like Josh Allen and the Bills in this one, we might see Justin Herbert have to throw the ball 40-plus times, which equals how many Keenan Allen targets?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, both these offenses have alpha males. You got Keenan Allen, you got Stephon Diggs. So if we're going to get points, we're going to see these guys get fed targets.
I think we need to choose a stand. We need to have one of these receivers probably in our.
Yeah, I'll take the 77.5 from Keenan Allen. Yeah, I mean, I think both these guys are probably top 5 in targets on the year. So
because we like Stephon Diggs, I'm just going to check him and we can maybe think about him later. But let's move on. I guess do you want to do a different format here while we do this? Maybe we stick with the Chargers and the Buffalo game, and we're just going to bounce to the rushing yards real quick.
Okay, we'll
I really don't care about any rushing yards in this game. I think it's all about the passing games. But Josh Allen, 34.5, Zach Moss, 40.5, Singletary, 33.5, and Herbert at 15.5. Does anything here make sense, or would you rather just bet with the arms?
No, yeah, I'll stick to the arms. I mean, with Moss and Singletary, we still don't really have like a defined split on those two yet. So
then we're seeing Josh Allen at 285.5 passing yards and Herbert 275.5.
That's interesting. 275.
What these guys have been doing lately?
Yeah, I mean, I think 275.5 is that's a pretty positive outlook based on what Herbert's been doing.
I mean, Allen put up 284 last week, and they had him at 285. Otherwise, 415, 154 against New England. But again, that was like a weird wet game,
Mm-hmm.
if I remember correctly. 307 versus the Jets. So he's been kind of inconsistent lately, but they are coming off a bye. And again, no Casey Hayward, no Melvin Ingram. I think there could be a lot of success in the air. But because we have the opportunity to get, Justin Herbert's lower. So let's just see what he's been doing lately. And I think we're gonna probably fall into the Herbert line here.
Yeah, I think we liked him a couple weeks ago. We went with Carson Wentz when we should have just stuck with Herbert, right?
The line is 275.5. He's only been under that 2 games in his career out of 9 games now.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense to roll with Herbert if we're going to be betting passing overs.
right.
And again, I just think that the Bills are probably going to have their way and do what they want on offense. We're going to see Herbert attempt a lot of passes. So I will check Herbert, and then we're going to move on to the Raiders-Falcons game, and we'll kind of snake it back now. So we're looking at Derek Carr and Matt Ryan. You got Carr at 272.5, Matt Ryan just under 300 with 299.5. Do you like anybody's passing overs here?
Yeah, I think if you told me that Julio plays the whole game, I think Matt Ryan will pretty much throw for 300 yards. It's crazy to see his splits without Julio. Problem is, last week Julio was in there, and then he wasn't in there, and then he was in there. But, he was kind of flippy-floppy all week, and that's just kind of what you have to expect with Julio.
I've got no confident beat on if it's going to be a Carr or a Josh Jacobs game this week. It could easily be a huge Darren Waller game, but the receiving game is so inconsistent for the Raiders. And then with Matt Ryan, again, you raised a good point. We don't know what's going on with Julio Jones. My brother just texted me, Jonathan Taylor's on the COVID list.
Yeah, I got that. I got an alert as well, so that's interesting.
Nyheim Hines, it is real. It's real.
Let's go stack the Nyheim Hines real quick.
Chalk City. Let's hear. While this is breaking news, Jonathan Taylor on the COVID list. He's not playing tomorrow. Looking here, they do have Nyheim Hines at 23.5 receiving yards, and then if we quick look at his rushing yards.
Oh, they must have jacked it.
25.5. Do we lock that in right now?
I think you should lock that in if we can get it real quick. Yes.
All right, we'll click to that. We're going to come back to it. Jonathan Taylor not going to play tomorrow. That's a huge loss for Jonathan Taylor and the Colts.
So I think they just took it out. I just refreshed. I think
is Jordan Wilkins going to be? Should everyone run to their waiver wires right now and pick up Jordan Wilkins?
they're
going to use 2 backs.
Yeah, they're going to use 2 backs. Wilkins could definitely be a touchdown candidate this week. If you're in a touchdown-only league, I definitely think that Jordan Wilkins
scrapped all of it.
Right.
Wow.
They just scrapped it all.
And then I'm just curious, looking at the receiving. So they did pull all the running back receiving numbers here. They did leave Pittman Jr., Mo Alley, and some of the tight ends and stuff here. But yeah, all of a sudden, we're gonna have to rethink our Colts backfield situation.
Yep. That would have been sweet to get that right in there.
Cool. Breaking news. That was cool. So we're not interested in Derek Carr, Matt Ryan. Those guys are too inconsistent. We don't know if we're going to get good Julio or bum Julio.
Yep.
Let's just look at the rushing yards here. We do know that Todd Gurley is not going to play. Josh Jacobs is at 75.5, and then they got Brian Hill. The projected next man up is going to be at 55.5. Do we know enough about Brian Hill to think about this?
I just think I think it's going to be more of a committee situation, so I'm not really too confident in that one. Josh Jacobs at 75.5 was pretty interesting. We know the Falcons are pretty bad against running backs.
I'm just looking around here, and so I just filtered by yards allowed to the running backs. We do see the Raiders are down here. They've only allowed 905 yards to the running back, so that's pretty reasonable. They do allow, with the Raiders, they get a lot of teams to pass the ball to the running backs on them. So 60 catches, almost 500 receiving yards. That's where the Raiders allow more of their points. And then if we look at the Atlanta Falcons against the running back.
Where are they at? They're
wow.
Pretty respect.
167. So teams, that's just strictly a funnel defense situation where everyone can just hit them with the quarterback passing to the tight ends or the wide receiver, and then the running backs are kind of an afterthought, right?
Right.
So that's a pretty low number for me for Josh Jacobs in a game. Like, the Raiders are simple, man. Like, we know they're going to run the ball. Like, they're going to pound Josh Jacobs for at least 20 times. Do we think he can get, 3.5 yards per carry?
Right. That's a good question. again with this Atlanta team, I mean, the game script's crazy because Julio plays, they're racking points up. Other teams are forced to throw the ball. Julio's not in there. It becomes kind of a little more sloppy mess. Mom's lasagna. What are you gonna get? You don't know what you're gonna get. Hard to really trust anything, I guess.
I do like Josh Jacobs to hit more than 75 yards. I'm just curious what he's been coming along lately. It seems like they've been really consistent with him too. So the 75.5 was the number, I guess. Yeah, we can't. I mean, he either smashes or he's going to be a consistent 50 to 70 yard guy.
Right.
But he's been getting the volume lately. If you tell me he's going to get the ball 20 times, sure, I'm going to take him to get over. Every time he's had the ball 20 times, or I guess 21 and plus, he's getting that number. So if you think Josh Jacobs is going to get the ball a lot and you think the Raiders can control the game, Josh Jacobs should be a good bet there. But let's just look at the receiving numbers real quick. You got Nelson Aguilar. People are betting that one. They like that one for 46.5. You got Waller, 57.5. The Falcons are the worst team against the tight end in fantasy. You got Hunter Renfrow, 41.5. Josh Jacobs, 15.5. Do any of the, I guess, Henry Ruggs at 33.5. Does any of the Raiders overs intrigue you?
I kind of like the Darren Waller script this week. Makes sense. Falcons are very bad against the tight end. It's a game where I think they're gonna, like you said, they try and control the clock. They're gonna control the ball. Dink and dunk. They're gonna try and establish that run. But they're gonna be peppering Waller on the targets when they need to.
So here are the numbers. The Falcons have allowed the third most yards to tight ends, about 622 so far. And then in terms of receptions, only a few teams have allowed more. They've allowed 57 total catches to the tight ends this year, and they've allowed a league-high 8 touchdowns. So it's going to be, I guess the Chargers do allow a lot of touchdowns too. It looks like the Jaguars as well. But the Falcons, man, Darren Waller is probably going to have to set some lineups with Darren Waller and their DFS stuff. But I don't know. I feel pretty good about the 57.5. That seems pretty low. Should we just look and see what Waller's been humming around lately the last few games?
So, yeah.
So 57.5, we have to beat that. So we see 88, and then what the hell? 37, 22, 27, 50,
yeah, oh, weird.
48. This is not good, man. I can't do it.
Yeah, maybe Carr's been just spreading the ball too much, Just kind
of. And the targets, I mean, if you could tell me the targets were going to be a little more consistent here, I would feel good about it. But to me, I think it's going to be a Josh Jacobs game. So I don't know if I feel comfortable. The Raiders are a really hard puzzle to figure out.
Yeah, that's the thing.
On the side here, you got Brian Hill 16.5 and Calvin Ridley 75.5. Is that too steep for Calvin Ridley? Or, I mean, I had a question on my show. I think it was maybe Wednesday night. Someone's like, "Are we nervous about Ridley without Julio?" And I pulled up the numbers, and it was weeks 3 and weeks 5, and Calvin Ridley was over 100 yards in both those games.
Yeah, so what's the status on Julio right now? I mean, it's questionable. It's more a game time decision, right?
Yeah, we'll probably know around 10:30 in the morning tomorrow. I'm assuming he's going to try to play. I was really encouraged with his practice report. Let me pull that up real quick, because the other thing too is like the eye test for me. When we saw Julio last Sunday, he was still on the sideline and like he was like jumping and trying to get ready and like stretching himself out. It looked like he could have played. I mean, if that was a playoff game, he's probably going to play through it. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I noticed here is really optimistic. He was able to practice limited on Wednesday right away. So I don't know what's up with this. Did not practice on Friday. Maybe that's just they felt good about what he did Wednesday and Thursday, and they said, "Hey, we're going to try to get you to play. We'll see you on warmups." I'm assuming. To me, this feels like he's going to try to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me nervous. It's just there's a lot of question marks around this entire. Oakland's hard to predict. Atlanta, it's Jekyll Hyde. It's flip the script. It's either going to be a shootout. Julio plays. It's either going to be a sloppy mess. He doesn't play.
So the thing about Calvin Ridley is, let's see. So I told you week 3, no Julio Jones in this one, 110 yards. Week 5, 136 yards. So
look at last week. Julio was limited 90 yards. So maybe that's what
that was 1 quarter, I think, of Julio Jones.
Yeah.
And you see Ridley come through for us, but I don't know. He does have some games where he's just short.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also just coming back from, his injury. Oh, no, he got injured against the Panthers here. So
he missed 9 and 10. So,
but so technically he's 3 for 3 over in games without Julio Jones. I'm leaning towards that being a pretty sneaky good play there. Julio's an alpha. Even if he's on the field, man, that's such a huge boost for Calvin Ridley.
mm-hmm.
And I don't think he needs Julio on the field with him to be a 76-yard play.
Well, especially not against the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders are, you've seen them. Their secondary is just collapse and allowed a 60-yard touchdown.
Yep.
How many times this year?
I'm just curious here. The Raiders. So the Raiders are allowing the 12th most receiving yards here. They've allowed 10 touchdowns, 135 grabs. So they're not great. I'm just curious to see what some of the receivers have been doing against them lately. So, of course, Tyreek Hill, 102. Denver didn't really have much arsenal here to do that. Keenan Allen, 103. Mike Williams, 81. So that's 2 receivers over in the same game. Scotty Miller hits it with 109. Chris Godwin, 88. That's another 2 receivers over that number. Tyreek Hill hit it again back week 5 with 78. Buffalo, Diggity Diggs hit it with 115. So the Patriots, that was week 3. They didn't really know what they were doing with their receivers yet. Tre'Quan Smith can hit it. And then Robbie Anderson, of course, hits it. So more often than not, they're letting one receiver to trash them in the secondary. And it's pretty simple. It's who it would be if it's the Falcons. So I'm just going to check it. We'll consider it, and we'll get to the show later. Let's move on to the Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars here. I really don't know if I'm comfortable betting into this game. I did hear there's going to be some rain and some winds in Jacksonville, but looks like they don't have any Jaguars listed yet here, which is kind of weird. But Austin Hooper, 29.5, Kareem Hunt, 13.5, Jarvis Landry, 49.5, Rashard Higgins, 39.5. Do we care about any of this, or should we just go look at the Baker Mayfield under?
Yeah, you know what to do, man. You know what to do. So
I can't bet on a passing over in Cleveland.
Yeah, so right now, as far as weather goes, it's just a chance for showers, but the winds aren't too bad right now. Doesn't look too bad as far as like throw potential yet. So something to monitor though. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the one part about Cleveland that we should like is Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. We're seeing at the moment right now. It's kind of blowing my mind. Nick Chubb is actually getting less snaps than Kareem Hunt the last 2 games. And Hunt last week, he did get the touchdown in the goal line area. Nick Chubb did not. But Nick Chubb's been over 100 yards in back-to-back games. Do we like Nick Chubb at 87.5 against the Jaguars?
I mean, I mentioned this yesterday. If the Cleveland Browns ran the ball 40 times, would you be shocked against this team? I mean, this is one of those games, hey, guys, let's get to Jacksonville. Let's run this clock out. Let's just win the ball. Let's just get this game over with and be done with it. No, there's no reason to take risk. It's going to be run, play action, run, play action. And they're just going to pound it down the Jacksonville Jaguars' throats. This game's going to be over. It's probably going to be one of the quickest games of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah, just because we expect the Jaguars to run the ball with James Robinson quite a bit. That's like really their only way. I mean, I like to think about it in terms of, okay, I'm Doug Marrone, and how are we going to win this game? We're going to run the ball, and we're going to control the clock for like 35 to 40 minutes.
Right.
And we're not going to let Mike Glennon toss the ball probably more than 25 times.
I like unders. I like unders on points. The rushing yards, it makes a lot of sense to nab if you're going to nab something. I did see an interesting quote about Mike Glennon, though. That was funny. Someone was talking about building DFS lineups, and Glennon said, "This could be my last start ever. I'm just going to go out and I'm going to sling that ball around." So,
going to sling it right into
Browns defense.
I do like Browns defense. But I was going to say, I'm a little disappointed we don't see any James Robinson numbers here. I do think
it's going to be a late edition tomorrow, yeah.
The dude, he produced against the Steelers, man. I think he rushed for 70-some yards against the Steelers. So if he's anywhere in that, if he's anything below 70 yards, I think I have to take James Robinson just because we've seen enough. And it is Mike Glennon. They're going to just hand the ball off a ton. Maybe the Browns load the box, but I don't think Myles Garrett's playing in this one either. So I do think Robinson could be the guy here. Are you interested in Nick Chubb, 87.5?
I definitely am. It's a high number, but 2 weeks in a row we've seen it. He is almost there, like between the tens guy. Like he's just gonna get you 40, 50 yards, and then the reward's gonna go to Hunt, unless Chubb just breaks off a 70-yard touchdown run, which.
So, I mean, 4 out of 6 games, man, he's been over 100 yards. And look at this. He did it against Washington.
He had 6 carries against Dallas and had 43 yards. I mean, give the guy 6 more carries, he's there.
Look at his yards per carry this year.
He's insane, dude. I mean, they're going to maul over these Jaguars. They're going to run the ball 40 times. I almost like both running backs to hit the overs, but
okay. So let's do an exercise here. So we don't see. If we just take his worst game, which is 5.6 yards per carry, and let's just call it 5 yards. All right. So I'm going to divide 87 because that's the number we have to beat. 87.5 divided by 5 yards per carry. That means he needs 18 carries to hit the over, and he did it against Houston, against Philadelphia. That almost feels like it's an easy money. And because I cut him short, I only gave him 5 yards per carry. It's against Jacksonville. He might end up with 7 yards per carry. No. And if you're thinking he's going to get – if you can guarantee me he's going to get the ball at least 18 times on the ground, this is an easy overplay.
I mean, what's his average yards per carry right now? Just give him the average. He probably needs 14 carries with his average.
It's 6.0.
Yeah.
So 87.5 divided by 6. Yeah, that gives us 14.58. So 15 carries will do the trick. And
there's no way he doesn't get that many carries. I mean, there's no way.
As far like we need a green win on the fantasyfellowship.com. I think Nick Chubb, man.
Yeah, I like Nick Chubb this week.
That feels almost like easy money there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather take Nick Chubb than I would Calvin Ridley. I'm even more comfortable about that than Diggs here at 84.5.
Yeah, I mean, these are some high numbers we're talking about here. I mean, DK they're not messing around with these lines, but that's Nick Chubb is gonna hit. He's gold.
All right, so are we locking in Baker Mayfield under 222.5 yards?
He's missed it once this year. I mean, I can't. We're up so much on that. We can't not take it. And why would they pass the ball?
On the season, he's only been over 222.5 twice. Once against the Colts, which was weird, and then the other game against Cincinnati. But for the most part here, they're not even letting him throw the ball 25 times a game right now. I know Houston and Philadelphia were some really bad weather games. And it's just kind of like we said, we think this game's going to probably be the quickest. Like this, of all the games that are going to finish first tomorrow, it's going to be the Browns game because we just expect probably over like 50 to 60 rushing attempts combined from both teams. So they're not going to have time to throw.
Right.
So we will fall into the Baker Mayfield under as usual.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Cardinals and the New England Patriots. You got Cam Newton at 220.5. I never feel comfortable betting his overs or unders. And Kyler Murray with this weird little shoulder thing going on.
I know, it drops.
Yeah. I don't think I can touch this one.
If this shoulder thing's not as serious as you think, 252 is a nice number.
Right, but we also have the game within the game of DeAndre Hopkins on Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah. Christian Kirk, baby. Fire him up.
Yeah, I think this is the Christian Kirk game. I just wanted to type in Kyler Murray.
And no Larry Fitzgerald too. So
yeah, that's concerning. I mean, against Seattle, man, he should have smashed him. 269, 250, 245 against Buffalo, 283 against Miami. He's got a lot of things working against him this week. Not only is his shoulder kind of sore, but Hopkins versus Gilmore. No Larry Fitzgerald, who had a pretty good game last week. I think 62 yards. And I don't know. I don't know if I feel comfortable betting on either of these. If I had to bet, I'd probably take the under in both of them. But again, anything happens with these two teams. I think it's too unpredictable for me to fall into.
Yeah. So
looking at the rushing numbers here, you got Damian Harris, 48.5. People are betting this one over here. He's got minus 121 there. Cam Newton, 42.5. Kenyon Drake, 54.5. James White, 10.5. We don't have Rex Burkhead anymore. I've been telling people to play James White as a running back too. That seems really low, but I guarantee you, if we pull up James White's numbers, he's probably gotten over that once this year.
Yeah, maybe.
And then Chase Edmonds, 20.5. that takes him one run sometimes to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You got Kyler Murray, 51.5. If we do expect a little bit more focus in the run game, I mean, they got Larry Fitzgerald out. They got a tough matchup for DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe this is a game where the running backs are featured.
I was thinking the same thing. I mean, that 54.5 from Kenyon seems pretty low.
So
he's been back 2 weeks from his injury, and I'm pretty sure he's hit that 54.5 both times.
So I'm just going to pull up. I'm looking for the Patriots. I want to see how many yards allowed they have to the running backs here. So they're actually, towards the top of the list here, 990 yards. That's almost 100 yards a game to the running backs, which, I mean, you combine Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds, and that's going to put them right there.
Yep.
So let's just kind of see. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of body types have been running against them. So last weekend, they locked up Duke Johnson and CJ Prosise, just a really weird run game day there. Looks like Gus Edwards hit 42 against them, week 10. Week 8, Zach Moss, 81. Devin Singletary, 86. I skipped Frank Gore at 46. Jeff Wilson puts up 112 on this team. Philip Lindsay, 101. Clyde Edwards, 64. Josh Jacobs, 71. Chris Carson, 72. So there is some success here for running backs against the Patriots. And because Rex Burkhead's out, I think you have to be interested in Damian Harris and maybe – oh, no, we're talking Cardinals here. So maybe Kenyon Drake gets his over 54.5. I want to pull up his numbers the last couple games. Well, he's only been back for 2 games. He's been healthy and avoided any setbacks in those 2 games. 29 yards against Seattle. Don't like that. And 100 yards against Buffalo. So
yeah, I was thinking, he had a couple catches. It was interesting to see. The receiving usage of that game was
flipped.
It's kind of odd.
I've never been comfortable betting on Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
If I was to bet on one, it would be Chase Edmonds. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure he's been more consistent. Only 13 yards last week, but then you see without Kenyon Drake, he was running pretty good. But he doesn't need a lot of carries. Look at this. 5 for 23, 3 for 36, 5 for 58 against Seattle. If you're telling me Edmonds gets 5 carries, I think I like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know if I'm that comfortable with the running backs here. Do you like any of the Patriots backs at 48.5 with Damian Harris?
I mean, Damian Harris makes a lot of sense. He's been playing pretty well. I don't know how well Arizona is against the running back as far as the yardage goes, but I mean, I know Damian Harris has been getting the rock,
So the Cardinals they rank 19th, 953 yards. That's under 100 yards per game. They did allow Raheem Mostert to get 56 week 1. They let Gibson and McKissick over 50 back against Washington week 2. Adrian Peterson hit 75. Mike Davis and Reggie Bonifant both hit over 50 back in week 4. Le'Veon Bell hit 60. Ezekiel Elliott was at 49, but Pollard also had 31, so that's a decent day for the both of them. Carlos Hyde, 68. We're looking at Miami. I don't know what happened here. Buffalo couldn't do anything there. And then Carlos Hyde again, 79 yards last week. So I guess the thing with Damian Harris, now that Rex Burkhead's out, I don't know if Sony Michel's playing, but I mean, just looking at the numbers here, we should know that they're going to get the ball to Damian Harris 12 to 15 times.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just take his yards per carry here, and then he's got 5.4 yards per carry. All he needs, guys, is probably 9 carries to hit this. So, yeah, if you times that by 9, it puts him at 48.6, which would technically beat this 48.5. So it's close. But if you think Damian Harris can get the ball 10, 11, 12 times, there's a really good opportunity for him to hit on the over there. People are betting this one. They like him at 120 or minus 121. But for me, I don't really know. This game can go so many different ways. I don't think I'm comfortable with betting any of the rushing numbers.
Yeah, the Damian Harris one, it seems nice. 50 yards. Basically, you're saying he's got to get 50 yards, which he's been doing at a pretty good clip. We just saw the Nick Chubb line move to minus 130. Someone just laid some dough on that. They've been listening to the show.
It's probably
moving the needle.
So I guess we're just looking at the receiving yards here in this game. Again, this is hard because this game can go so many different ways, man. Demir Bird blew up last weekend. He's at 46.5. N'Keal Harry, 35.5. Jacoby Myers, 56.5. James White, 30.5. That's almost too high for me. We expect him to be more involved with Rex Burkhead out, but that's kind of getting to the point where it could go either way. And then with the Cardinals, you got Kenyon Drake, 7.5.
That seems interesting.
That seems super low.
That's one catch.
Chase Edmonds, 19.5. DeAndre Hopkins, 73.5. And then Christian Kirk, 56.5. He's going to probably be the guy that I think has the best day for the Cardinals receiving. Any thoughts?
Yeah, the two that stand out the most for me are Drake at 7.5. I like guys who can get it on one catch. He saw 5 targets last week, which is it's one game, so we don't know if that's going to be a trend or not. And then Christian Kirk at 56.5. We mentioned already Fitzgerald's out, so he doesn't. That leaves Kyler without kind of like a valve. So maybe Kirk becomes that valve, or do they plug in? I mean, who do they have to plug in for Larry Fitzgerald? And he's
Isabella.
Yeah, and he's not really like a slot valve guy. He's more like send him deep. So maybe we see some more deep shots or something.
So Christian Kirk over 56.5. It's only happened 4 times this year out of how many games? 4 out of 9. That doesn't feel comfortable. But again, because of the things we just highlighted with Larry Fitzgerald being out, DeAndre Hopkins should be basically covered up by Stephon Gilmore all day. He could beat Stephon Gilmore, but I just think Kyler Murray's probably not going to look that way as often as he normally does. So if you tell me we're going to be looking at upwards of 7-8 targets, I do think the odds are in Kirk's favor.
I think with Fitzgerald out, I'm almost looking at this game thinking,
does Kirk move to the slot?
I think his safety valves are going to be the running backs here. I think. So 7.5 and 19.5. That seems. I like both those lines.
So let me pull up. I think I'm more comfortable with Chase Edmonds because we know he's going to get the more targets.
Right.
So let's just pull up Edmonds and see how many times he's hit 20 yards this year through the air. So last week, 36 yards. The week before, 21. The week before, 18. 87. All right, I'm taking the Chase Edmonds here. These numbers are pretty good. Only 1, 2, 3 games so close. So 3 out of 10 games? 3 out of 10 games he has missed it. So we get a 70% chance of hitting on this streak. And then I guess with Kenyon Drake, all he needs is 8 yards to hit this over, guys. So look, this is kind of really frustrating. But all of a sudden last week in a game, but the game script was weird in this one though because they were trailing for the most part and they had to throw the ball, kind of abandon the run.
Right.
But a season high targets, season high catches, 31 yards, and look at this. His yards per catch average the last few games. All he needs is 1 catch for us, I think. Yep. If you tell me he gets 2 catches, we're gonna hit the over. So if you're feeling kind of how we're feeling, this game can go a lot of different ways. These running back numbers are really low. I feel pretty good about Chase Edmonds, so I'm going to check him. And then we're also going to check Kenyon Drake just because that's just 1 catch here. We'll probably try to we'll pick one of the 2 here for sure. Any other thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no, it's on New England's side. It's really hard to predict what's going to happen with those pass catchers now.
Yeah, and this one I don't know. Both teams are kind of tail between the legs right now. This is and I'm not really excited to watch this game. I think this is in New England. It's a noon game. We'll see if Arizona traveling east can get back on the winning streak. But we're gonna move on here to the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. I'm just checking our time here. We're going on about 39 minutes, so maybe another 20 minutes or so here. But Titans Colts, we did have breaking news earlier in the show. Jonathan Taylor has been placed on the COVID list. So DraftKings has removed all of the lines here for the receiving backs. I think we're gonna like Naheem Hines in a lot of daily lineups, and of course as like your RB2. But just hit refresh here, and dang, did they take it all off? They took the whole thing down, man. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we don't see any of the running backs listed here for the receiving overs. Do we want to start maybe with the quarterbacks and work our way, through the other way?
Yeah, this game's going to be, yeah, for sure. Without the running backs, Indy and the running backs, that's how they win games. They win through their running backs.
I will say Michael Pittman Jr. at 52.5. He had his breakout game over 100 yards back on Thursday Night Football, 52.5. He took a 45-yard screen to the house or a crossing route to the house against the Packers. The dude's playing really good football right now. If you're going to bet on any non-running back for the Colts. I think Pittman's probably going to be your guy. And the Titans, man, the Titans defense is just trash. So
It is pretty bad.
I could see Pittman having another really good game against the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to skip this game right now, though. The Titans and Colts. I think there might be a better game that we can find. Any thoughts on the Giants Bengals this week?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Brandon Allen throwing the ball. Whoever can't trust any of that. Gosh, I kind of like some of the Giants though. I mean, Darius Slayton was the one that I liked, 46.5.
It seems like other people
that's getting bet a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think the Giants can really kind of, it's the NFC East. It's wide open, and the Giants are looking at the Bengals thinking, hey, look, guys, this is a game we can win, and we can get ourselves right in the picture of the thing, right in the thick of it.
Back on the so I have a soft spot for Sterling Shepard. He's at 51.5. He hasn't crossed that the last 2 games, but he gets the targets, and this is an easy matchup. Technically, Washington's kind of a tough matchup. I'm just kind of falling into the targets, but he's only been over twice. And at 51.5, I'm curious about it, but I think I might lean towards Darius Slayton in this one. Let's just pull up his numbers real quick.
This was one of those things where, like, the Giants, I mean, they haven't looked great, but they've won some games now. They've strung together some wins, and it's the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals they're reeling.
All right, I have an idea. Let's look at Daniel Jones' passing numbers. Over 235.5. 235.5. This feels risky, but I like the Giants this week, man. So 235.5. He was able to do that against Philadelphia. He was able to do that against Tampa Bay of recently. So 2 out of the last 3 games, he's been over this number. Some really bad stuff here against the Eagles and the Washington football team. 222. So it's not a really safe bet at all, betting on any of these guys. But again, Daniel Jones, 235.5. Do we bet the under on Brandon Allen, 215.5, or do we just ignore this game?
Yeah, Brandon, I don't know. I can't tell you anything about what Brandon Allen's going to do on Sunday, I think we've seen him in NFL action once or twice, maybe.
He did have maybe 3 starts with Broncos last year before Drew Lock got onto the field. So he's not a very high percentage completion guy. 193 yards, 240 yards. Interceptions were fine, only 2 interceptions, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm not trusting a guy in his 4th career start on a team that, dude, I'm nervous about the Bengals. Like, we're gonna see what the Bengals are made of as far as like heart and effort into this game. Their season's pretty much been washed.
Yep.
And I'm just nervous about every single Tyler Boyd. Like, do you even start Tyler Boyd this week as a wide receiver 3? I don't know.
Tough questions. I mean, yeah, AJ Green, you have to assume at this point is
he's like the definition of what I'm talking about. Like, his team check out. Like, he was already kind of checked out with Joe Burrow for a few moments, and I could just see it now. AJ Green kind of pulling up on a route, and it just gets picked off or something,
Oh gosh.
So I can see the Giants having some success. Let's I guess. One more thought on this game is I wanted to look at, because I like Wayne Gallman this weekend in fantasy lineups. They got Wayne Gallman at 56.5, but it's so dirty betting on these guys.
You can't feel too good about it. I think this is a game the Giants win. How do they win it though?
So the thing for Wayne Gallman, he's had 53 yards, 68 the last 2 games. Tough matchup against Washington. He ran pretty well here. He's scored 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. So he's kind of their hot hand right now.
Maybe look at that TD prop, Wayne Gallman TD prop.
Oh,
what are we sitting at?
Should we get there right now?
I mean, I'm thinking about.
That's probably the one thing that I think we feel comfortable about. Where are we here? So Wayne Gallman plus 105.
Let's go, baby.
That's we're gonna check that one. That one feels pretty consistent that we can fall into that there. So I'm just seeing here. We have 3 more bets to put on the day here. Maybe we'll just kind of go rogue here, and let's just kind of let's just take a look at some of the other receiving.
What games did we have left? I think I saw Carolina, Minnesota was
Yep.
up there, and then New Orleans and Denver.
So yeah, we'll finish with these two games here. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel. We know the Vikings secondary is not very good.
Yes.
We got Robbie Anderson steep at 70.5 yards. He actually benefits more with Teddy Bridgewater in the lineup, I think. But DJ Moore at 59.5, a dude that just put up 127 yards last week with PJ Walker. 59.5, wow.
DJ Moore's been coming on. I mean, he's catching up to he's caught up to Robbie Anderson as far as like fantasy points go. So
here, let's just pull these.
I'm definitely intrigued by DJ Moore. We get one more Mike Dave this week.
So we still have. Oh wow, these guys are neck and neck right now in fantasy points. Not much separates them at all. But last weekend, because of the game, DJ Moore did pass him in yards. So Robbie Anderson's probably going to lead the team in receptions in this one. They seem to like – it's weird, man. They're basically the roles that we thought each guy was going to get are reversed.
Right.
So I really think I like both guys. I do think DJ Moore actually at 59.5. We've seen him kind of become more of a downfield guy. And let's just take a look here. Look at his yards per catch for DJ Moore, 18.8 compared to 13 and 14 the last couple of years. So essentially, you're telling me DJ Moore only needs 3 or 4 catches to do this. And then 2 of the last games here against Tampa Bay, it's a tough matchup, 96 yards. And then Detroit's Detroit, so 127 yards there. So I really think, and you see some 93s here out of DJ Moore. I just think 59.5 is really low. Can you, what can you tell me about Robbie Anderson? Do you feel stronger about one guy or the other?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that, with Teddy back in the ball game, what are we going to get? I think it's going to be though what it's been the last couple of weeks. I think we're going to get that. DJ Moore is going to get his looks deep. He catches 3 of those balls. He's probably going to hit 60 yards. Robbie Anderson's going to get targets though. Curtis Samuel lurks in the distance. This is one of those games where no Adam Thielen on Minnesota side of the ball. They're probably going to rely heavily on Dalvin Cook. So what are we going to get as far as like a score line goes? I think.
Well, I'm nervous about Robbie Anderson. He hasn't hit 70 yards since week 7. So he's gone 4 straight games under this number. I guess now might be a good time to start a new streak, but I don't know if I don't know. With Teddy Bridgewater back, it could be a good game for Robbie Anderson. But I think if I'm going to take one of these guys, I do like DJ Moore just because it's at 59.5. And then let's quick take a peek. Curtis Samuel's been one of the hottest receivers the last month and a half.
He gets a touchdown every week. It's crazy.
They got him at 49.5 and 70 yards last week. 8 yards against Tampa Bay. We don't know what the hell that was. But 105 against the Chiefs, 31 against Atlanta, 48 against the Saints. So this one, I think I would rank them in terms of comfort level. I'm going to do DJ Moore, then Samuel, then Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I think DJ Moore is my one as well from a comfort standpoint. I think 60 yards against this secondary it makes too much sense.
And the way they're using him lately now, man, is he's been getting some massive chunk plays. I just want to see if they list some of his long. They don't do that anymore. I wish they could tell us his long plays.
Yeah.
But you just look at these yards per catch. So last week was 18 yards, 24 against Tampa, 27 against Atlanta. I mean, you're telling me he only needs 3 catches to get this against the Vikings. I think Cameron Dantzler is probably going to be on him. So,
who?
It looks pretty good for DJ Moore here. On the Vikings side of things, are we just going to dip our whole body into the Justin Jefferson gold here?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, with no Adam Thielen, Jefferson's going to get double-digit targets, right? And if you tell me Justin Jefferson's getting double-digit targets and his yards per target's pretty high, I feel pretty good about that.
So what's weird is we don't have any, he's a rookie. We don't have any data with Justin Jefferson being the lone receiver for the Vikings. But I guess if we assume, it's safe to assume he's going to get 9, 10 plus targets, right?
Yeah.
So in those games where we're looking at 9 targets, we see 175 yards against the Titans, one of the worst secondaries in the league. You do see 11 targets against Atlanta, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, by the way. And then against
Look at that bear.
Chicago, 135 yards. And then even then, last week against Dallas, he only took him 5 targets, 3 catches, 86 yards.
Yep. Houston, 5 targets, 4 catches, 103 yards.
This feels like it should have been, since they know Adam Thielen's probably out, this should be at somewhere like 83.5. They should add 10 yards to this.
I like the Jefferson.
So we're going to go with Curly Jefferson here. It looks like we have maybe one more bet to put on the list here. Can we rule any of these bets out that maybe we're not into? Are we going to put Wayne Gallman as our guy to score?
Yes.
Yes. One guy to do it this week, plus 105. He's definitely in consideration.
We'll have to look at the other touchdowns, but Wayne Gallman at plus, I like it.
Should we look quick at the Dalvin Cook rushing prop?
Probably just to see where we're at.
112. What the F?
Oh, they know what's up, dude.
God.
They know what's up. That's heavy.
He's gonna probably hit it, but I can't put it on.
You mean another 200-yarder?
I can't do it. Let's look at the Saints Broncos game. I don't really feel comfortable betting Taysom Hill over 53.5 yards, but he's going to have a pretty good game. I might like his rush or his touchdown prop if we can find that in a second here. But Latavius Murray, Alvin Kamara, do you feel strong about these guys hitting 54.5 or 44.5?
I mean, AK with Taysom Hill, man, you got to bump him. He's getting bumped down. This was the first game in his career without a catch, right?
Yep, and they got him at 29.5. I mean, if you're Sean Payton and you're reviewing that box score from last weekend, what's the first thing that you see that you're like, we need to fix this?
Yeah, right. It's AK's usage. I mean, he's got to be more involved.
And, I mean, the fact that Latavius Murray had 2 catches last weekend, they have Latavius at 6.5 yards, man. Receiving yards here. And let's just pull up Latavius Murray. I've been telling people ever since we knew Taysom Hill was going to be the guy, I've been telling people Latavius Murray should be owned in all leagues right now.
Absolutely.
But 2 for 36 last weekend. I don't know what happened against the Niners here, but 2 for 3, 3 for 14, 1 for 9, 2 for 23. Do you think that Taysom Hill can find Latavius Murray for just at least 7 yards?
Yeah, and it's kind of like that Kenyon Drake one. You know, he gets 2 targets.
It's done.
Yeah.
All he needs. Technically, look at this. Look at this.
One.
Just give me the one. Just give me the 1 for 7.
One. Yeah, I mean,
give me the 1 for 7.
He's going to be in the game more, I think.
And here's my case for Latavius Murray. They're playing the Broncos, man. What's the over/under on Drew Lock turnovers in this one?
Yeah, probably 2.5.
I would probably say it's 2.5. Like he's gonna probably fumble and throw an interception, and it depends on that third one here. But I think Latavius Murray at 6.5, man, that's kind of low hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm. I probably like that more than the Drake one.
Yeah, I think I would rather take the Edmonds to get 19.5, and then as far as 6.5, man, I think that just because the history is on the side for Latavius Murray, we can actually see some games here where he does catch passes. Right. And with Kenyon Drake last week, and that was the first game of his season where he actually got more than 3 targets. So I think I feel comfortable about Latavius Murray at 6.5. So let's boot out Kenyon Drake here, and we're gonna slide in. We're betting on Latavius Murray 6.5. All right. Then.
Week 12, man, it's a weird one. I just saw James Conner test positive COVID. That game's not playing, man. We're not getting Baltimore-Pittsburgh this week.
Well, the thing about, I guess at least it's not a Raven.
4 Steelers today tested positive.
Connor's the headliner?
Yep.
Wow. So if you're hearing this, breaking news, James Conner will not be playing on Tuesday. Who knows who's going to be playing on Tuesday?
Dude. Old Greg's going to be popping out.
Wow. So more positives in Pittsburgh here. 1 coach, 1 player. Looks like looking around for some. So, yeah, James Conner is positive. Did you see a list of anybody else here?
I didn't see any other names. I think that was just the one that probably was the eye popper.
Wow.
Yeah, Connor's one of the ones that you got to be a little worried about with his history, you know.
Definitely with his health history. It's in terms of fantasy though, you're probably kind of okay with James Conner being listed out. He hasn't really been helping us the last few games, but yeah, definitely this is going to be a moving target. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. I don't know. With the Tuesday night game, I don't know if we can set our lineups with Steelers or Ravens at the moment right now. So after this show, I'm probably going to go add a backup tight end for Mark Andrews. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess back to the topic here. We got the Saints and the Broncos here. Do you like anybody's passing overs here? They got Michael Thomas at 68.5.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to touch passing overs with Taysom Hill. No, thank you.
200.5, man. 200.5. The dude hit it last weekend, but it was against the Falcons. And here, the only reason I think Michael Thomas might be low, he only needs 69 yards. And last weekend, he was pummeled with targets. So 12 targets, 9 catches, 104 yards. It's Atlanta, though. It's Atlanta, but it's also Denver. So if I'm going to bet something in that game, I think I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit of Latavius Murray to just get one catch at least here.
Yeah, I'll take the easy, the one and done in that one. I don't really want to worry about accumulating stats.
So
that one.
See here. We got one more guy that can potentially be added to our card list here. We did say Wayne Gallman, one of our favorites, to score a touchdown tomorrow. I'm just going to roll all the way down here because I wanted to see. Let's see here. So we're not going to bet on the Monday night game. The Packer games, Sunday Night Football, Devontae Adams minus 155, Aaron Jones 134. I don't know if I feel comfortable about any of those ones. What about the
Monty plus 140 is kind of interesting. But
what about this Chiefs-Bucks game? Who's going to score a touchdown for Tampa Bay?
That's the thing, man.
Godwin plus 190.
Seems pretty high. Chiefs have been an interesting team. They're not like good scoring defense. I don't really know. I think here's the narrative: Tom Brady coming off a loss. Like, are we going to get angry Tom?
Here's another stat that I saw. Tom Brady, as a home underdog, is 3-0 in his career.
A very small sample size.
Very small sample size, but Tampa Bay right now, they either look great or they look like crap. They just like crap. I mean, it could be, but yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. Let's move on.
It's such a weird team, man. Like, do they show up this week and dominate like they did against the Packers, or like do they lay an egg?
It's going to be somewhere in between.
Weird.
49ers, Rams. I don't have everyone here is plus odds here. I don't know if I feel great about anything in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. No leans.
All right, Taysom Hill's plus 110, man, to score a touchdown. Is this getting stamped here on the website?
Plus 110. I mean, he scores, man. I like it.
I mean, he had 2 rushing touchdowns last week. I would assume he's got a really good opportunity for one this week. And then just because I think this game, Carolina and the Vikings, man, that's probably going to be one of the more fun games to watch at the noon slate. Dalvin Cook's minus 400 is stupid. That's just stupid.
400.
Looks like they like Justin Jefferson. They like Mike Davis here, but I guess DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson only has 1 touchdown on the season. So at this one, I cannot get into.
Curtis Samuel, 250. Dude finds the end zone.
Also, Kyle Rudolph, 220, because no Irv Smith and probably no Adam Thielen, which leaves Kyle Rudolph as maybe the next guy to potentially get some targets.
Yeah, we could like that.
I don't know. I kind of do like Curtis Samuel plus 250. Maybe you throw a little bit at that, but I guess because we said we're only going to put one. Maybe we end up putting a couple bets down. I think we were only going to put 5 bets on the website this week, so we're going to have to consolidate this list. But I don't know. I think that we got a good list here. I think we can pick out 5 winners. Wayne Gallman. Are we really going to put Wayne Gallman on the site?
It feels good. I mean, compared to some of these other ones.
All right, maybe we end up listing 2 touchdown odds that we like because they're both plus odds. So if we're thinking about our viewers here,
value wise, I mean,
Hill and Gallman should score touchdowns. Kenyon Drake plus 130 for a touchdown. Christian Kirk plus 180. Chase Edmonds plus 285.
It's pretty high.
It could be
285. Interesting. Even Drake at 130. I mean, I guess that's the thing about the goal line is Kyler Murray's kind of their goal line guy.
What about Naheem Hines at plus 110 here? Jonathan Taylor has also been added to the COVID list. Are we interested in dipping our toes into the Naheem Hines, who had 2
How about
touchdowns.
Jordan Wilkins at plus 200?
Ooh, Wilkins, huh?
That's interesting.
Michael Pittman Jr. is plus 200 as well.
Yeah, there's some interesting touchdown odds here. I kind of like a couple of these.
A Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, James Robinson, all the favorites here, probably going to score. Let's keep moving up here. Calvin Ridley plus 100. Interesting. Darren Waller plus 110. Kind of some low-hanging fruit there to win some good odds. Nelson Aguilar plus 170. That's not terrible. He's been kind of hot lately.
He has a knack for the end zone.
Oh, wow. This is weird, man. Bills Chargers, they got nobody in the negative. Everyone's positive to score.
I think it's one of those things where like you pick your favorite TD target, and there's going to be touchdowns.
All right, Josh Allen rushing touchdown, I can see that. Stephon Diggs touchdown, I can see that. Cole Beasley at plus 180, I can totally see that. Our favorite probably of the website, though, is probably going to be Gabe Davis at plus 300. We know John Brown's out. So if you're feeling really risky, Gabe Davis could win you some really good returns here.
You got good Gabe ratios. Henry,
man.
I like that as well. He scored last week.
He scored last weekend, and then I wanted to pull up here the touchdowns allowed to the tight end here. We do see Buffalo has allowed 6 on the year. There's only been a couple teams that have allowed more. I could totally see Hunter Henry stacking 2 touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. This is kind of crazy. I think this game's going to get pretty high scoring here, and the fact that no one's favored to score a touchdown.
Yes, that's odd.
I would put money on Josh Allen scoring a touchdown. I would feel more comfortable about Josh Allen rushing for a touchdown than Wayne Gallman, or maybe I guess it's kind of the same feeling. And plus 105 compared to plus 110, a little bit better odds. I could totally see Josh Allen scoring a rushing touchdown. I'm trying to think of anybody else here. Are we moving Stephon Diggs off the board here?
Yeah, we could probably take Diggs.
So
that's a high number to hit.
Let's pull out Diggs and then pick our favorite person to score a touchdown in this game. Literally everyone's a really good bet towards the top here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Keenan Allen, man, he's been so hot this year. Plus 115 to score, or would you rather have Josh Allen rushing touchdown?
I think Josh Allen rushing touchdown makes a lot of sense this week.
Okay.
Hunter Henry plus 200 is also just staring me in the eyes.
Maybe we add a couple of risky picks that we won't count towards our record. Because last weekend, I think what I did on the website was I added some notes in parentheses and did some stuff where these are the top bets that we like, and then we're going to list another set of guys here of bets that we think can win, but we're not going to count them towards our record. We just think they're pretty good plays. So I think we're going to do that. We are going on a little bit over 102 minutes here. Did we want to quick mess around with the DraftKings lineup?
I mean, we could detangle a little bit.
So we'll make it quick and dirty here. We're going to probably hang out another 4 or 5 minutes. I was intrigued because we didn't have a lot of games on the DraftKings slate this week. I was just kind of curious. Maybe we just fill out a DraftKings lineup at the end of the day here. And the one that caught my eye that I was actually thinking about doing this week was it was a $9 tournament here. It was the slant. I like single entries. Where did I see that? Maybe here. We're going to do early only. And sure, let's just see this one, the rush here. So this is early only games. We're looking at quarterbacks here: Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins. I guess, how do you like to fill out your lineup? What's the first thing you like to fill out?
I usually try and think about who are my core plays. I'll take a peek at the quarterbacks and I'll see are there any quarterbacks? I'll usually like to go with the cheaper quarterback. I'm thinking who can I stack?
So is Dalvin Cook a must play this weekend in DraftKings?
Yeah, if you're doing a big GPP, maybe you can try and pull the fade. But if you're doing a single entry kind of thing, you got to play Dalvin Cook this week.
So we're going to lock in Dalvin Cook. So then, because we spent up on running back here, do we want to pair it with a guy where's Naheem Hines? Naheem Hines.
Yeah, I think Naheem Hines.
Here. So you're getting the top end play, and you're also getting a guy that's going to be on the field a lot. Had his career game against the Titans earlier this year. I think that's a really good way to average down the Dalvin Cook price.
Again, I think now we're definitely with these two guys. I think we're gearing towards a lineup where it's going to be a little chalkier start, but you want to in these kind of games you just single entry. You're looking to you want solid points.
So I guess how do we get a little bit more creative with our wide receivers? I think Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs are going to be two very popular guys. Calvin Ridley is going to be super popular, and then I think Justin Jefferson is going to be really high ownership this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we avoid all those guys and try to swerve?
Yeah, kind of like if we're going to go with a Cook on Minnesota, the over-under in that game is 51.5. What if we do like a Teddy DJ Moore stack? Yeah, I mean, that could be an interesting play this week.
All right, let's fling in Teddy. Okay, so we got Teddy, DJ Moore. Did you want to dip maybe one more time with a Robbie Anderson or Curtis Samuel?
Could be interesting, yeah. I mean,
or do you put a Mike Davis in there at the flex?
Yeah, what's Mike Davis at price-wise?
There you go, filter by running back. So Mike Davis is pretty expensive, 6,900 here in terms of flex. We could get Mike Davis or.
No, I kind of like Curtis Samuel. Definitely. I mean, if he scores a touchdown, he hits value. He's probably only 5,000.
So we're falling into the Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. We do have a receiver, a flex, a tight end, and a defense to play. Since we're kind of getting to this point now where we can kind of have some options, who's our number one defensive play? I really like the Giants, and I really like the Browns.
Yeah.
The guys are pretty high priced up here. I mean, should we just take the lower one against the Browns here?
Yeah, I think the Browns are both these teams should have good games.
So we have about $5,000 average remaining here to use. Do we spend down on tight end to get more money for receivers and flex? We did mention we liked Hunter Henry here at 4,800. That would save us a little bit of cash. Or should we look a little bit down the list here for anybody else? The tight ends get so dirty down here.
Yeah, I mean, Rudolph is going to be the smash play this week. With a lot of people playing Jefferson, maybe Rudolph doesn't get the love that he should. I mean,
I like Rudolph because he's a money saver for us, and because Irv Smith is not playing in this one, we already know that. And then you add in the fact that it's going to be no Adam Thielen. I mean, if he gets anywhere between this 5 to 9 points here, I think that's fine. As this is, we're totally comfortable with Kyle Rudolph being our worst play on the line here. And if we get anything above his average here, I think that's a win.
Because that frees up so much money here,
Now we kind of get to do whatever we want. So we have 62 average remaining per wide receiver or flex. Do we want to spend below that number? I guess if we're looking strictly at 6,200, Robbie Anderson, do you want to go all in on
See, I think that
Christian Kirk. We talked up Kirk. We also talked up Beasley. And because I think a lot of people are going to be in on Stephon Diggs, maybe Beasley's a good move here.
Yeah, I can get behind Cole Beasley. I mean, I think, the site had him at 61.5 yards. So that means right there, that alone is like 10 to 12 points. He gets a touchdown. He hits above that over. You start looking at that 18 to 20 points where he's really hitting good value there for us.
Before we finish up the lineup here, we got a question from our guy, Justin. He wants to know if we should play Kareem Hunt or Wayne Gallman in a PPR league. The good news is we like both. I think both options are pretty safe for double digits. Hunt's been getting the goal line touches too. I think the odds for these guys to score touchdowns are both very, very strong. I do think the Giants are going to run the ball and kind of control the game in that one. I guess both teams, they both have a similar game script in this one. I would probably – I don't know. I really like both. I don't really have a preference. Is there one name that makes more sense to you, Jesse?
Yeah, I think safety-wise, Hunt's your safer option. If you just, if you're looking at your lineup thinking, all right, I just need a floor here, Hunt's going to get you that floor. Just kind of looking at the Vegas odds, Hunt's the better guy, predicted to score a touchdown. So, you like that. It's a game where Cleveland's they're going to run the ball. I mean, we know they're going to run the ball. So I probably lean Hunt as a safer floor play.
I would totally agree with that. And I just think you got two really good options, man. If you were thinking Gallman, we wouldn't blame you for thinking Gallman. He scored 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. It's against Cincinnati, who might just be a team that's like a walking skeleton right now. They don't really have a lot of heart, I think, coming into this week. So we do like Hunt and we do like Gallman. Probably just lean into the Hunt because it's been pretty good lately, and we do expect Cleveland to have a pretty good day in Jacksonville. So thanks for the question. Looks like you got one more question here for us. So thanks. So, and Gallman, Antonio Brown, or Crowder? So assuming this is a flex play for him, I am pretty optimistic about Jamison Crowder coming back with Sam Darnold, but I don't think I want to bet on any of the Jets plays this week. If I had to choose, it's going to be between Gallman and Antonio Brown. Jesse, could you talk me into Antonio Brown over Gallman?
Yeah, I think if we looked at last week, we really saw Brady make an emphasis to feature Brown. The yards per reception wasn't fantastic, but if you're telling me that Antonio Brown's going to catch another 8 balls, I bet you he's going to have more success than he had last week. I can definitely see a touchdown in his outlook.
Consider the game script.
Right.
So Antonio Brown in PPR, I mean, he's developing a pretty safe floor here, man. I mean, this was his first game back. He didn't play a lot of snaps, but you're seeing double-digit floor here. If you feel comfortable about getting a guy that's going to get 6, 7, 8 catches and then the opportunity for a Tom Brady touchdown, I think Antonio Brown's got the higher ceiling play. So I think I would go with Antonio Brown here over Gallman or Crowder. Crowder could rack up some receptions again, but it's Sam Darnold's first game back. I think I'd rather see what happens. We do like what Antonio Brown's doing, so I think I'm going to roll with Brown and Kareem Hunt in those two situations.
I agree.
So thanks for the question, man. So we're just kind of finishing up. We got one more spot to pick here. We have $6,900 to spend here. Mike Davis, are we gonna wrap this up with a Carolina bow? No way.
I don't know. I'm trying to look at who's a nice play that's maybe gonna go under-owned a little bit.
Are people gonna be off James Robinson this week, or is that gonna be a pretty steady play?
Yeah, that might not be a favorite play just because I think they're underdogs, but volume wise, he's probably gonna get some love.
What about Darren Waller here?
Darren, the double TE stack.
I would flip out Kyle Rudolph and maybe we see if we here. Let's try this. I'm just curious because I think Darren Waller is going to have a great game tomorrow.
I think he's due for a ceiling game for sure.
Assuming we have a low end of 37 here, I'm just curious if anyone sticks out. Whether that is Keelan Cole against the Browns here. Do we like Keelan Cole with no DJ Chark, no Chris Conley?
We need 10. We need. What do we need? 10 points.
Denzel Ward's not playing
3 times. Yeah, that's an interesting play.
That's a sneaky one, huh? Or is Laviska's back?
Yeah, Laviska or Keelan Cole. Interesting. I think we can make that work. I think. Which guy do you think the team's looking at? This is the guy we want. Who do you think Mike Glennon's looking at, thinking this is who I trust?
Keelan Cole. He's gonna go. I mean, Laviska, when he was playing, man, he was a pretty steady guy here. I just think in terms of boom bust ratio, Keelan Cole does have the higher ceiling of the two. He had a low game last weekend, but pretty much everybody had a low game last week. He actually hasn't been playing that great, but you see these 20-point games here. That's kind of what I'm looking at.
You got to go for the booms, on these.
Guy to catch a touchdown. He does have 4 touchdown catches I don't think maybe Laviska's got 1 on the season.
I mean, he's pretty much guaranteed the 7 point. He's not guaranteed, but he's going to hit 2 times value at least. And then from there, you're looking at a pure upside.
Okay, so this was just kind of for fun. We're not highly recommending this play, but we kind of think that a lot of people are going to be all in on Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. So we're playing against it and going with Teddy Bridgewater, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. I think we could see Carolina have a pretty nice day against this Vikings defense. We're rolling out because we spent high on Dalvin Cook. We bought low on Nyheim Hines. He's probably going to be really well high owned in this one. So those are kind of 2 chalk plays at running back. But we kind of did some weird things at receiver here that might separate us from the pack with DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Cole Beasley, and Keelan Cole just for funsies. And then Darren Waller, the baller here at tight end against the worst team against tight end, Atlanta, and then Browns defense. So just some thoughts there for you guys on the DraftKings machine. Any other final thoughts tonight, Jesse?
Yeah, I think week 12 is every week it just seems to get a little bit more weird. It's getting weird this week. We might not get a game. But there's some fun Sunday ones. It feels like Sunday today, so it's we're going to be in the Twilight Zone tomorrow. Some weird things are going to go down.
Everybody needs points, and they want them now. So
yep, this is the time, man. We have 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks away from the playoffs, for fantasy playoffs. This is it.
So I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe on the YouTube channel. After the show here, we're going to upload our 5 best plays on the fantasyfellowship.com. There should be a link in the YouTube description below. Otherwise, just go to the fantasyfellowship.com, click on the player prop bets. We'll have those updated shortly, but let's win some money this weekend. Thank you guys for your time. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. And for Jesse, you can follow him on Twitter at @thefellowjgm. You can find me on Twitter. I said it too many times already in most of my videos. So thanks again for your time. Have a good rest of your day. And I don't know. Peace.